Good morning, Standard 8 students. Now, in the last class, I ended up till this verse, stanza, I'll read it again. Like a glowworm golden in a dell of dew, scattering unbeholden, it's a real you, among the flowers and grass, which screen it from the view. Now, the poet has compared the song of the skylark to the beautiful glowworm that spread its light around its environment or surroundings, like the grass, the flowers, the bushes. Okay. So, though it cannot be seen, when it emits its light, the glowworm cannot be seen, but it spreads its light, and that adds beauty to the environment, to that particular area. He says, even that golden glowworms that they emit the light brightens up that place is not so good as the song of the skylark. So here also the comparison is made, the song of the skylark to the golden glowworm. Now the next comparison which is made is like a rose embowered in its own green leaves, by warm winds deflowered, till the scent it gives makes faint with too much sweet those heavy winged thieves. Okay. Now the poet is comparing the song of the skylark to a beautiful rose. Okay. This rose, when it is growing, it is surrounded by its green leaves. You'll find the rose plant up and the leaves, the green leaves. And when the wind blows, the warm wind means a strong wind, which has the power to remove some petals from that flower. Okay? At that particular time, the rose plant gives out a beautiful scent. Now, this scent is so good. Whosoever smells it, they really enjoy it, as if they are going to faint or as if they are drunk. Okay. That is the effect of that scent. It has tremendously affected the person who has or who is smelling that rose plant, the rose flower. You see how he takes a deep breath. That means he is enjoying it. Okay. And the expression is like as if he is going to faint, or he's going to fall unconscious. Okay. Or he's going to get drunk. Drunk means he cannot control his happiness while he is smelling the rose. The scent of the rose is playing up in his nose. Okay. He says, even that which is so good is not so good as the song of the skylark. In other words, even a beautiful rose giving out its beautiful scent is no comparison to the song of the skylark. Now, this is also one of the wonderful creation of God. When the rose plant begins to drop its petals, then it gives out a beautiful scent when people enjoy it. And when the wind blows, it carries, it spreads in the garden, this beautiful smell. But that is, when compared to the song of the skylark, then this beautiful thing is no comparison. It fails while competing with the song of the skylark. Okay? Then sound of vernal showers On the twinkling grass, rain awakened flowers, all that ever was, joyous and clear and fresh, thy music doth surpass. So now when there is a slight shower of rain, when the rain is slightly falling, we call it a drizzle. Okay? The halka pulka rainfall. So when it falls on the leaves, on the grass, okay, what happens? It freshens up, it brightens up the flowers and the leaves and the grass and everything. Because the raindrops are falling, they are seen on the grass and on the leaves and all that. It starts twinkling, shining, okay, shimmering. It gives life to those grass and leaves and flowers and all that. It makes them look fresh, makes them look clean, clear. Okay. So, and they seem to come out lively. Okay, they also enjoy the slight shower of rain. So that is also a beautiful sight when you see how the raindrops on leaves and grass and flowers, how they start sparkling or twinkling or shimmering. Okay. It's a beautiful sight. So, but when we compare again to this beautiful sight, to the song of the skylark, he says, you are much more superior. Even the most beautiful scenery or the most beautiful sight that we observe, the poet says, it is still not as good as the way the skylark sings. Now, the next stanza tells us, teach us right, O bird. So now tell us the secret. You have to teach us how to be like you, or how to sing like you. What sweet thought are thine? I have never heard praise of love or wine. So definitely you must be thinking about some wonderful things. He says, teach us the secret, where when you sing so beautifully, people, they get intoxicated, they enjoy it. When I say intoxicating means they are very attracted towards that music or the scent and all that. Okay. How one absorbs it and enjoying it. Alright. It does not mean that you have daru varu and then you get intoxicated. Not that. It is just how one expresses his inner joy, the happiness which comes from within. So he says over here, he says, teach us that secret. What pleasant thoughts are being played in your mind so that you could sing so sweetly. Now we know, as a matter of fact, that only when we think of good things, we become happy. And when we become happy, we start to sing. Okay. So he says, when we sing, he says, your song is so good. Even when we sing our celebratory song, or when we sing at a wedding or at a party, when we sing on a particular occasion, it is not so good as yours. It says your song is something different. No matter on what occasions we are singing songs in a group or solo or duet, but when we compare our songs to your song, it says your song is still very superior. So teach us the secret how to sing like you. So that is what the poet is now requesting, and he is comparing our songs to the skylark. He says, no matter how good, how well we sing, but yet we cannot match up to your standard. We cannot match up to your level. Says, teach us the secret. So this is all what he's trying to explain is that a thing wherein we feel there is some hidden want. There is some secret in you that is actually, making you sing so beautifully. So tell us that secret, so that we can also sing as beautifully as you. Now, what objects are the fountains of thy happy strain? Happy strain means your happy songs. It means that whenever we sing songs, we have to be in a good mood. We have to be in a happy mood. When we are happy, when somebody gives us something, but we are not happy when we look at things that look beautiful. So that means, he says, what are you seeing that is making you feel so great and so happy? You are watching the mountains, you are watching the hills, the valleys, the rivers, the fields, the seas. You are watching everything. And from there you are deriving happiness. These things make you very happy because you are appreciating all that. So we do not appreciate what we see. We only appreciate what we get. So that is what he says. Definitely you are seeing something and you are appreciating. That is why the music flows out spontaneously from within, and the tune, the melody that comes out, it is so beautiful. So people lose, they think, mind. They forget all the sadness and sorrows when they listen to the song of the skylark. So he says, with the clear, keen joints. Now, since you are so much involved in watching these things, appreciating and then singing and singing and singing, while flying you are singing, he says, you keep yourself preoccupied so much in watching all the good things and singing. I can understand. But definitely you have got no room for pain. You don't know what pain is because you have not given any second thought about pain. You are so much involved in singing beautifully that there is no room of pain, sorrow, agony, suffering in your life. So that is what we learned today. So when we begin to appreciate things and see the good in everything that we see and do, then there will not be any room for pain or suffering or all that. So try to develop or inculcate the habit of appreciating what you see or what you observe. Okay. Then you'll find the world to be a better place to live. Thank you. And I'll be sending some reference to context, question and answers. Please write and learn them. Okay. Okay, bye-bye. Stay safe and God bless.